Today's how to build is on this Lego portrait of Amethyst from Steven Universe. I have received over 110 comments requesting for me to build something from Steven Universe, and I have to say, thank you. Because I received so many comments about Steven Universe, I decided to check out the show, and I love it. My husband and I have been watching through it. We're currently in season 3 and have been really enjoying it. We've been binging it over the last month or so. So I'm super excited to bring you this Steven Universe build. Also really excited for all the Steven Universe toys coming out from McFarlane Toys this summer. Want to give you a quick update on those toys, then we'll jump into the building instructions. Back in February, I got to see early prototypes of the Steven Universe constructible toys from McFarlane at Toy Fair in New York City. However, they've released some new photos and information about the sets that are planned to come out this August, so I wanted to share those with you real quick. So first of all, let's take a look at Mr. Universe Van. This looks to be a great set. It has Steven and his dad Greg. Steven's wearing his cheeseburger backpack. So this set is set to have about 300 pieces and retail for about $35. And you can see, in addition to it looking exactly like the Mr. Universe van, there's even details like the TV inside the back of the van with a VHS message from his mom, Rose Quartz. So I always love the little details that they fit into sets like that. So that's going to be an awesome set. Speaking of Rose Quartz, the next set we're looking at is the Temple Door. This is also set to come out in August. Going to be retailing for about $15 and containing 100 pieces. In addition to Rose Quartz, it has, of course, her sword and shield, a warp pad, and the Temple of the Crystal Gems, that entrance door with all the different gems on it so they can go to their different rooms. So that looks to be a cool set. I think they definitely upped the piece count for this because that looks to be a gigantic figure of Rose Quartz. So definitely looking forward to this one. Next up, we have Pearl at the Great Diamond Authority Pillar, which I guess is the name of the area where she does sword training with Connie and Steven. This is going to have about 40 pieces and retail for about $9. This seems to be similar to the Five Nights at Freddy's sets where you just get a figure and a little buildable area. Pearl looks pretty good from the shot. You can't really see all the angles of her head, so you can't see the pointy part of the back of her head, but looking pretty good. Next up, we have Jailbreak with Peridot. This also will retail for about $9 and have about 50 pieces coming in August. Peridot's looking good. She's of course got her leg and arm extensions on at this point because this is when they're inside the giant hand spaceship at the end of season 1. And she's got that little zappy thing and looking very dastardly. Crystal Clods! And last but not least, that they've released information on so far, we have Arcade Mania, which features Garnet mesmerized by Meat Beat Mania, the kind of Dance Dance Revolution knockoff that was featured in a single episode. Kind of a random thing for them to make a set on. It means Garnet does not have her glasses on. It'll be interesting to see if they include a glasses piece in this set, or if there's another set where she does have her glasses on, because that's more the classic Garnet look than this kind of mesmerized arcade mode. This will also be retailing for about $9, having approximately 50 pieces in August. So I'm excited for all these sets. Based on what I saw at Toy Fair, they also had a box for a set called Steven's House that seemed to include Amethyst and Pearl. It's possible that they're not going to have Pearl in that anymore because some of the stuff on those prototypes boxes does change, but I'm assuming there will also be a set with Amethyst because that would be just a great injustice to not include Amethyst in this first wave of sets. Anyway, those sets coming in August. I'll have reviews on those as soon as they come out. Stay tuned for that. One other quick update before we get into the build. If you remember my gigantic 3D 8-bit voxel link that I made a couple months ago, a fan of Brick 101, Christoph Freudenreich, took it upon himself to recreate that build in Lego Digital Designer. That's really awesome because now that means there is a Lego Digital Designer file for that build that you can download. Also a parts list and step-by-step building instructions. So there's a link in the description to my website where I put all that stuff up in case you wanted to make that build but didn't know what pieces you need. You can now find that information. So many thanks to Christoph for putting that work in so you could all have some more resources to make that awesome build. So as I've mentioned, I became super obsessed with Steven Universe after starting to watch it, and I really wanted to build Amethyst because she's super cool, and also because it's a unique challenge because the colors of Amethyst are not really common colors in Lego. They do exist, so we're going to be using a lot of these two colors today. This is called medium lavender, and this is called lavender. Could also be thought of as lighter lavender. So these are the two colors that I thought best represented the color of Amethyst. And they come in mostly the Lego Elves, Lego Friends sets, some of the classic basic sets. I also found a whole bunch of these on the Pick-a-Brick wall, especially these 2x4s and 1x2s that I use a lot of. So you can go out and look for those, but because there's not a lot of pieces in these colors, I couldn't really do a traditional character build. So I was inspired to do more of this portrait sketch based on the work of Power Pig, aka Chris McVeigh, who's done a lot of cool portraits of famous characters in Lego. Chris McVeigh, you may remember, designed the Lego arcade set that I reviewed a few months ago. So he's a very talented builder, so inspired by him, let's get started. First thing to do with a brick sketch portrait is to build the main background that you're going to be building against. I chose blue because I thought it would contrast well with Amethyst's colors. So I've got 4 6x8 plates here in blue. I'm going to use this 8x16 base plate to put them all on. So the main buildable area that we're making here is going to be 12 by 16 in total. The base plate on the back is just really to hold it together at the beginning, not a super necessary thing because we will connect them. You could also just fill it with whatever, and a lot of this that I'm using as the background will be totally covered up by the build. So the colors here don't matter a super lot, just the top you'd want to all be one color. So that's step one. Now let's get some other pieces. So this style of building we're doing today could be called mosaic or studs out building, where we're got a flat surface and just building with the studs out facing the viewer. So have a 1x6 plate in black going along the bottom there, and then some 1x4s in black. So this is kind of the outline of her singlet. And I'm using the look of Amethyst from season 2, I believe, after she reforms, 2 through 3. Some 1x2s, again, because there's so many of those in the Pick-a-Brick, if you're lucky enough to get that. In this medium lavender color. Do her arms on each side there. Fill in the center here with some 1x2s. Skip a spot there, we'll fill that in later. 1x2 there. These big 2x4s, and you don't even really need 2x4s. Pretty much this could all be 1x2s if you just got a whole bunch of those. Next layer up, center a 1x2, and then use one of these 1x1s. I think this is the only 1x1 in that color you need for the whole build. Next level, some 1x2s, 2x4 on each side, 2x4s up the center. A lot of this will be covered up at higher levels, but this is just kind of the basic shape of her head here. Nice round head. And some 1x2s on the side, just to round it out a little bit. Okay, now we're going to work on Amethyst's gem. So we want these little 1x1 round flower pieces that have the hole in the center, but it doesn't go all the way through. It is, these are kind of like a magenta color. I forget what shade of magenta because I think there's multiple. Then I've got these dark transparent pink gem pieces, 2 of those, so Put 1 and 1. Those will go in the hole we made earlier. And then around those, we're going to take more of those magenta flower pieces and these 1x1 dark transparent pink round tiles. I think there's multiple shades of transparent pink. That's why I'm specifying dark. So 4 of those, kind of all around that. I thought that did a really good job of kind of looking like the shape and color of her gem that's poking out right above her singlet. And then some of these wing plates, 4 long, those go in to flesh out the shaping of that, and a 1x4 black plate to finish that off for her little shirt down there. Next up, let's build a nose. So her nose is going to go right here. Some 1x2s and another 1x2, pretty simple. And then for her eye, we're going to take a white jumper plate right above where the nose ends, and one of these 2x2 eye tiles, and you can position it in. For the mouth, 1x1 plate or tile with clip on the top, and one of these black hot dog pieces for the smile. I stole this one from the Adventure Time set from BMO. Sorry, BMO. But your arms are delicious, and also they make great little half smile smirk things. So now we're going to work on Amethyst's hair. This is where all those lighter lavender pieces come into play, and I have to say this is a super rare color, so I don't expect that you'll have all these pieces, so just gather up what you have and, you know, do what you can. This is from like all the different Lego elf sets that I've got. I stole all these lavender pieces, so if you haven't gotten many of those sets, chances are you don't have lots of these pieces. Anyway, start off with some 1x2 tiles down here. Thought that looked good for the bit of hair that shows through behind her body, because her hair is gigantic and would take up a lot more space than there's room for on this portrait. Down here I've got a 1x3 downward slope, 1x2 plate, another 1x3 downward slope. Some of these flower pieces, this is a relatively common piece compared to everything else, so probably have some of those. Going to build a little thing here, take just another one of these medium lavender pieces. It's going to be totally covered up, so the color here doesn't really matter. Put it under one of these 1x3 curvy downward slopes. Go right there. Here we'll take one of these 1x2 pillowy bricks, regular 1x2 brick, and take a 1x3 downward slope, put a flower petal on the bottom of that, connect all through that, put another flower petal up there. Let's put a flower right up there, and then a pillow brick, then a 1x3 curvy downward slope. Now we're going to put a 1x2 plate that's just floating here for a second. This is a key part, so this is in white, the color doesn't matter, it'll be totally covered up, but this does not come in one of these two colors, at least that I could find in my collection. But you do need a brick with stud on one side. It's going to go in this spot right here. Then take a 1x3 curvy downward slope, cover that up. We'll come back to what that's all for. Then I had some of these corner slopes, using those for the top of her hair here. I just kind of made them go in different directions. Had a little spot to cover up there, so I used one of these 1x2 curvy downward slopes with a piece of flower under it. Went like that. Another one of those corner slopes. Another pillow brick. Again, a lot of this I just kind of put lots of pieces just to get the feel of her big flowy hair. It's kind of messy, so it doesn't really need to be precise. Some 1x3 downward slopes, like so and so. Some more of those over here, and we will fill that spot in with a 1x1 brick, one of the few that I have in that color. And down here, another 1x2 curvy slope. So even though a lot of her face actually gets covered up that we built, which makes the actual shape of the face a little bit different, but works really well, I think. Flower, and then a flower in a curvy slope, 1x3. Almost done here. Finishing it all off, take one of these 1x6 curvy downward slopes. I had exactly one in my collection. Underneath, do some plates, so 1x3, 1x2, 1x2. Oops, sorry, Amethyst. 1x1 brick here, 1x3 plate, one of these big quarter circle bricks, and a flower piece on top of that. Now this whole thing will connect to that one stud on that brick that is over there. I can reconnect it. Come on. There we go. So I thought that did a really good job of representing kind of the curvy way her hair blocks her one eye. So I actually just found those pieces and lined those up and realized I needed something sideways, even though most of this is studs up. And then these leaf pieces I thought were really good as just finishing touches. So I did one here off of that stud. I think one there off of that stud. And I believe it was one like this. And one like that. So when it's all said and done, this is what Amethyst looks like. I think this is a pretty good likeness of her for the kind of constraints of the portrait form. I think it definitely, the colors alone make her pretty recognizable, as well as the hair covering her eye. You don't get a really strong silhouette of her just because her hair would be much larger than this space, but I think it works out pretty good. Nice little display piece to put on a shelf or something. And if you want to stand it up somewhere, take a stack of some 2x2 bricks. You can just kind of sit those in the back on each side, and it kind of stands up like a picture. So that's just kind of a nice, easy way to stand this up without using too many pieces. Oh, these are a little unstable. But yeah, so that's my Lego Amethyst. Thanks for watching this. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to Brick 101, and check out all my other pop culture how to build videos.